Hello, hi. Good morning, Caryn. It's lovely to have Caryn Franklin with us today for our conversation and interview with the SB Shop. I'm Joti Gata-Aura, and I work in presenting for Samantha Bullock at the SB Shop, which is a marketplace for sustainable and inclusive brands. So, Caryn Franklin, thank you so much for joining me today, and just for us to have a little chat about what you do. Well, one of
by the way, I was just so enjoying listening to you. Hello, everyone.
Thank you so much for joining us, Caryn. Well, I just wanted to first of all kind of go straight into the first question. Really, I wanted you to just tell us a little bit about yourself, because on Instagram you describe yourself as a disruptive fashion lover. So, can you tell us more about those words that describe yourself?
So I use that title simply because I work in fashion, and for me, I want people to immediately know that that doesn't mean I condone all of fashion's practices, and that I'm kind of active really in challenging fashion. I think it's an amazing tool in people's lives. It does have the ability to empower us and embolden us, and help us experiment with who we are, to promote, an idealized self, to promote a range of selves. So I think it's a huge tool for our well-being. But I also think that the fashion industry over the years, and remember, I've been in fashion for 39 years,
Wow.
And I've seen a lot of changes. The fashion industry itself has moved forward as a big machine, and does operate in an exploitative way and in a stereotypical way. And so that's one of the areas that's always interested me from the day I sort of began my commercial practice. Well, before that, obviously, as a creative, as a student. Starting with ID magazine, where it was always about identity. It was about who you were and your ideas and how you expressed yourself, and that ID worked with non-models. So I began fashion working with ordinary people who styled themselves up beautifully, and that's how I've always moved forward, really. And I have always wanted to see fashion reflect the spectrum of humanity and the beauty of us all, in sort of size, age, skin tone. And although this wasn't my early remit, body difference, and broadening it out as far as we can.
30 years is an incredibly long time for you to be able to, 39 years, to witness so many changes, whether they be big changes or small changes. Tell us, Caryn, what have been the significant changes that you've seen throughout those years?
Well, I think a sort of key change in the early days was fashion on television. So that was the early 80s, and that was the mid 80s. So I did a program called The Clothes Show for 12 years, which had 13 million viewers in the UK, but 157 million worldwide. What had the potential to go in the homes of 157. Mustn't big myself up like that,
Fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
But what it meant was certainly UK viewers suddenly realised the amazing innovation on home turf and wasn't looking to Paris and Milan. We moved into a space where people really bought into the idea of creating their own style, and designers who had now reached these audiences could work with big stores to bring their own aesthetic to the high street. So we had all these diffusion ranges. But I never foresaw value fashion. I never foresaw all of the manufacture moving out of the UK, moving across the other side of the world. I never saw the exploitation of garment workers, or indeed the sort of landfill waste and the toxic waste, which is why I would always say I'm a sustainability advocate. But then one of the amazing changes has obviously been social media, and the way in which we have all been able to say, I matter, I exist, I support the fashion industry, but where is the fashion industry talking to me and providing me with service? I like to think I made a small contribution to that with my editorial, and certainly co-founding an early diversity campaign in 2009 called All Walks Beyond the Catwalk with Deborah Bourne and Erin O'Connor, which we took into the fashion industry in a kind of guerrilla way and worked with high profile creatives, but we realized it needed to go into education because we needed to empower the next generation of creatives to look beyond the catwalk. The tall, thin white model and the proliferation of her beauty ideal has, has impacts that are damaging to people's self-esteem. And that was clearly one of the things that we wanted to highlight.
That's absolutely fantastic. I mean, I think when we think about our generation of young people today and who they are aspiring to, I work with young people quite a lot, and when you sort of think about who they're aspiring to, they want to see that representation. They want to see someone that looks like them. And when you're striving to achieve something that's not, you're causing a lot of insecurities within young people of today. It's a very concerning factor, really, and it comes into play in mental health as well. Now, I know that you've talked about sustainability, so could you tell us a little bit more about sustainability and how this links with the SB shop as well? Well, your relation with Samantha and the SB shop.
Obviously, it was exciting to meet Sam. I met her at Fashion Week one time, and we started chatting and learn about her plans for inclusive design, but also to work with designers who have a kind of ethical protocol, who are delivering, best price they can, but everybody in the process is being honoured, correctly paid, and clearly there isn't a kind of huge output of cheap clothing. Sam has all those values and more. So that was really important for me to support. And, I think what Sam has achieved is exemplary. And obviously she's a pathfinder in what she's doing. And she's an amazing role model and figurehead. And a sort of inspirational, kind of motivational person. She is the best person for her brand, and all brands wish they could have someone who inspires so much excitement and confidence. So, Sam is like so many small startup, carefully thought out brands approaching the building of her organization with integrity and authenticity. And I think that's what we all as consumers of fashion and image are looking for.
I think you've summed that up really, really well, Caryn. I think her values are, exemplary. She's extremely passionate about what she does. And I think you can see those core values within her brand and the SB shop as well. And I think another thing as well that we were talking about earlier on is this word inclusivity. We hear it so often now. I mean, it was a word that perhaps people were unaware of how to explain the word or the definition of the word. You have explained this during our conversation, but can you define what inclusivity means to you?
Well, I think I'd like to sort of broaden it in as much that certainly when we started All Walks, we talked about diversity in front of the lens and behind the lens. And the inclusivity conversations go on, quite often in a superficial way, with brands talking about who they might use to represent them front of house. But the fact is, as many big brands have found to their cost, I need only say Dolce & Gabbana and the spectacular mismanagement of their entry into China and the luxury market by really undermining Chinese people with their Western perceptions and their messaging. And so inclusivity means actually the whole organization. So we have diverse perspectives, we have diverse leadership, we have thinking outside the box, we have recognition of people's lived experience as a valuable tool for shaping how things have to happen. And that's, one of the things that took me on to studying a Master of Science in Psychology, because I've spent a lifetime really trying to work with leaders in fashion. My area was very much mainstream fashion, but often seeing a kind of brick wall go up. There are a great deal of, there are many, many men, white men, running fashion, women's wear. And so just talking about the idea of femininity and what women needed to see would often you just see it glaze over, because people in position of power and leaders did not value lived experience of women. And so I wanted to look into the obstacles, what prevents us from psychologically engaging with difference. But I also was able to uncover studies from the Centre of Appearance Research and from Rice and University, really promoting the value of a broader range of perspectives and representation for business efficacy and profit.
Caryn, you've really gone beyond and looked at statistics. You've got your data to kind of back up all of the information that you have. I mean, I find this incredible, really. You've spent so many years researching, putting together this useful information for everyone. It's incredible, Caryn. Are you actually continuing? So where are you now in your journey? Where are you now at the moment? Are you still advocating and conducting?
Well, you when it's a passion, you don't stop, do you?
Yeah.
So there are always vehicles in which I can talk. I can rock up and endorse what they're doing and talk. Where I am at this exact moment, interestingly, is bringing together a couple of interests. So I've been volunteer observer and advisor on the all-party parliamentary group for diversity and representation, and bringing people that I know who have lived experience in to give evidence, to really flag up the very fixed mindsets and the damaging culture for creatives working in fashion. If they are not white, if they are not able-bodied, if they are not cisgender, if they don't conform to a heteronormative process, so that we can see really, the things that are being flagged up now, global understanding at last around white supremacy, around fixed ideas in leadership. And so I've also been, as a visiting academic, as well, a visiting professor at Kingston University of Art. So I'm not really an academic, but I hold a post in which I give lectures about selfhood and objectification, white gaze, male gaze, unconscious bias, stereotyping. Yeah. So I have been plugged into an amazing group of academics, mostly Black academics, who are looking to challenge the post-colonial curriculum that we have in higher education, and how we can take that into our take their knowledge that they are providing and systems that need to be dismantled into each of our educational institutions. So if there are any academics tuning into this right now and you feel like I would like the information that's being provided, to contact me.
Where can people contact you? How can they get in touch with you? What's the best way of doing that?
I would say the most immediate way is Instagram. Come and find me on Instagram, Franklin on Fashion.
Fabulous.
Bit of an obvious name there on Instagram. But, you have to make these things up in 2 minutes, don't you? As you I'm going to join Instagram. What shall I call myself?
That's fabulous. If there's anyone out there who just thinks that they're going to reach out and they've got any questions that they want to ask Caryn, feel free to email or to drop her a message on her Instagram. And that detail, the information will be underneath the YouTube live as well. So on that note, Caryn, you've given us so much information. You've shared so much knowledge and also inspiration about what you've actually achieved and what you're actually currently doing. On that note, I wanted to actually ask you if you would be able to share with us a motto of yours or a quote that inspires you, that's going to inspire all of us, that allows you maybe to sort of or allows us to reflect on our self-worth, or perhaps maybe touches on inclusivity. Or is there something that you use to?
Well, there's a little voice that I have in my head that does, that I do remember this particular motto, and so it travels with me simply because it does really remind me that it's important to just show up, just do whatever you can. So that motto is, there's no such thing as failure, only attempt at success.
I absolutely love that. There's no such thing as failure. And the last bit, I didn't quite hear that. Only
attempts at success.
That's wonderful. That gives us that positivity and that drive to go and achieve what we want to achieve without anything letting us, preventing us from doing so. That's wonderful, Caryn. Thank you for sharing that with us. And it's so wonderful to have you with us today. I'd like to thank you so much for your time, and I'm sure we will be able to engage in further conversations at some point later on during the year. But many thanks for coming on today.
Thanks, Joti. Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.